Welcome to Six Figure Discussions podcast. Today's episode is number 6.
It's already been 6 episodes?
Yeah, because our 5th one was in New York. Thank you guys for liking our stuff, subscribing. If you haven't, make sure you subscribe, make sure you like, share it with your friends, everyone who you care about. Spread the love. Give us thumbs up for YouTube algorithm. Follow us on Instagram, on TikTok, all that good stuff. What's up, bro? How you been?
I can't believe the 6th episode has come so soon.
Man, time flies, right? It seems like we started yesterday, and
not when you look at the back of your wall. It's your background just gives it away. It's been a while, and you're a seasoned podcaster, and I'm trying to keep up. But hopefully, my move will help me get settled in and actually just strap in, because I've been in this transitionary period for a couple of months now. And once we get to the steady state, hopefully, I'll have just as nice of a background as you do.
I'm sure you will, Brad. And I'm also learning on the go. I think the biggest issue we've been having is with the sound. If only people knew how many hours we wasted trying to figure out how audio interface works and troubleshooting a bunch of stuff. That's okay. It's part of the process.
Yeah. I like to think of it as an investment rather than a waste, because I want to dedicate more time to just solving hand problems. Because I feel like it's really good for the brain. And one thing that I've been thinking about is perhaps even getting like a Lego set and just messing around with it in my free time, because I feel like it's a nice therapeutic exercise. Just being able to have some building blocks, mess around with it, rediscover your inner child. Meditation has been good too. So I've been keeping at it. I think it can be challenging at times.
Yeah.
Especially when I start imagining this highway and my thoughts are just kind of driving back and forth on this highway. And that's when I start imagining a highway, I get a little lost. I start getting antsy and anxious. Why do I imagine a highway when I'm meditating? Is because I keep revisiting that analogy that Ilshad brought up in the last episode about the thoughts, the train of thoughts just kind of running back and forth.
Yeah.
It's kind of like a highway. There are 1,000 different thoughts at any point in time, and they're traveling in different directions, and they're just all different thoughts. But just because you have them and just because they're on the highway doesn't mean that you have to jump on every single one of them.
Yeah.
You just kind of have to let them flow. But then highways tend to freak me out. So when I envision an actual highway while I'm meditating, I start to get a little anxious because I don't like highways.
Now, how long has it been, Brad, since you've been meditating?
2 weeks.
Consistently?
2 weeks. Yeah.
Okay. That's great. And which app?
Not long, like less than 10 minutes.
At least you started. That's a huge progress.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which app are you finding most useful?
I'd say the Wake Up app.
Waking Up?
Yeah, the Waking Up. Because it's free. Because my boys paid for it. I love free shit. Give me more free shit, please.
Have you checked out the interviews they have?
I have not. And I actually made the mistake of confusing some of these lectures. So there are the meditation sessions, right?
Yeah.
And then there are these like lectures between the meditation sessions.
Yeah.
And I would treat them like meditations. I would meditate listening to a lecture. And I'm like, why is he talking? Like, shut the hell up, bro. I'm trying to meditate. It turns out that I'm not you're just supposed to listen to that. It's not an actual meditation session. So I think the moral of that story is, I'm a little bit of a dumbass.
By the way, for those who don't know, you're about to move out from California.
Yeah. Might as well give a personal update to everybody, to listeners who are friends and who are not friends. If you're a friend, if you already know, if you don't know, no offense. I love you, but, now you know. Yeah, exactly. I got a job in New York and I'm moving out at the end of this month. So at the end of July, very excited to be back on the East Coast. I think Los Angeles will always have a special place in my heart, but it's about time. It's about time to make that move. And being in the heart of action in New York is a very exciting prospect. So yeah, I'd say I'm a bit nervous, but in a good way. I'm very excited. I'm very excited to make the move and get started at the new job and see what it has to bring. But it's certainly not a final goodbye to LA, because definitely have made a lot of friends here, and my dad is here. My close friend Aiden is here. Shout out Aiden. Hopefully we'll get to have him on the podcast one day. Other than that, just keep looking forward. New York is the next stop, and DC is pretty close. So
yeah, we talked about this. Yeah, we talked about this offline. But congratulations again, Brad.
Thank you.
That's an amazing opportunity, Brad.
Yeah.
And the fact that you're now moving closer to DC and you're like in the capital of finance, that's got to be very exciting.
Yeah. East Coast coming soon.
Will you miss anything when you leave California besides the obvious, like your father, a good friend of yours, Aiden? Shout out to Aiden.
Yeah. So what will I miss? Weather. You can't beat the weather. Mm-hmm. So number one thing that I'll miss, especially on a cold February morning, I don't know, a couple of months from now, God willing, when I'm walking through New York and I'm just freezing my ass off outside, I'm going to be like, man, LA is really good around this time of the year. And probably going to miss the culture a little bit. One thing I found about Los Angeles is that, first of all, people are very apolitical. And second, people are very down to earth. When I was moving here initially, I always imagined that it was going to be like a very, like, you know, cutthroat, like Hollywood. Everybody's trying to be like a celebrity. Everybody's trying to make it into the media industry. But it seems like it's a very small enclave or enclave within the city. And as long as you're not in that circle, you don't really feel that. Everybody else in the city is kind of just doing their own thing. And, yeah, I enjoy that. I enjoy that people are not really as fixated on what other people do for a living or how much money they make or, what kind of political beliefs they have. Mm-hmm. You know, and yeah, but I think just having good weather kind of softens you up a little bit. It takes you down a notch. And one thing I noticed, like when I was visiting New York a couple of weeks ago, I noticed that I walk at like half the pace everybody else is. Everybody's just like walking around. I'm like, God damn, like I'm having a hard time keeping up with all these New Yorkers. I feel like a real Californian. So I'll definitely miss that. But I think, I needed this in my life because this slow down in pace has definitely kind of softened me up, and I need to start getting sharper. I need to essentially get back out there, and I need to pick up the pace a little bit, because these are the prime years. These are the years when you're supposed to be just like nonstop. Sorry for the corny catchphrases, but like work hard, play hard, essentially.
And you're gonna be one of the most energetic cities out there in New York. Man, that place wakes you up like nothing else.
Yeah.
Always moving. So mostly weather.
Mostly weather, the attitude of the people.
Switching up a little bit, but for those who don't know, you had a really great day yesterday in that. You got to meet Taras Shelestyuk, who is a boxing welterweight. I think he fights in the same weight division as Canelo, right? Welterweight?
I think he might be a weight class below. But I don't think there's any problem with him moving up. It's pretty fluid, but I think his main weight class is probably lightweight. He's in the 69 kilo division. And yeah, Taras Shelestyuk is the real deal. That's his kind of boxing name. Pride of Ukraine, undefeated boxer with a record of 19-0, I think 11 knockouts. So, really impressive resume. I think in amateur boxing, he's a world champion, and he is also a bronze medalist. Overall, a really great guy. We met through Aiden, and Aiden is the kind of guy that's just international. He's friends with everybody. And that's the beauty of the boxing community, is that people in the boxing community are very, friendly to each other. I guess something about the sport where you beat the shit out of each other that makes you kind of, very receptive and very welcoming of other people. Perhaps it's because you step on the ring and you essentially leave all of your aggression on the ring. When you step out of it, what's left is just pure emotion and respect. It's love for one another. So that's why I find that these sports where aggression is a big part of the game, people who play those sports tend to be actually very easygoing and very relaxed outside of them. Mm-hmm. Because the sport in itself serves as a really great outlet. So like, what's there for you to be mad about or be passive aggressive or just, I guess, be an asshole about if all of your transgressions, all of your aggression, is left on the ring? You just go out there and you beat the hell out of each other. And what's left is just pure emotion. That's why, like, I really enjoy hanging out with the boxers. They're pretty cool people. I've become really close friends with, Shelestyuk brothers. Both Bogdan and Taras, and they've been amazing, man. They're like really, like unbelievably humble, really down to earth, really easygoing. We hang out. Mm-hmm. He tells me a lot of stories from his like Olympic days, from before the Olympic days. We obviously talk about kind of the current situation in Ukraine a lot. It's definitely, hard to kind of what they're going through at the moment with their kind of immediate families being impacted by what's happening, kind of the war in Ukraine. But it also kind of goes on to show the resilience in the face of difficulty, because of the fact that they're athletes and they've been so mentally strong mm-hmm. that, even in the face of something like that, they're able to kind of keep going and maintain that positive attitude that whatever happens now, we shall overcome. So we got to do a little bit of training together yesterday at a gym called Brick House Boxing. Shout out Brick House Boxing, an amazing gym. A lot of great people there. I got to, just shadow box, watch him work on the mitts. Luckily, I dodged the bullet. I didn't have to go in the ring and spar with him. Maybe I should have. Just have some black guy be like, "Oh yeah, Shelestyuk gave me this."
Did you get his autograph?
Probably should ask for it at some point. But I mean, we've been taking so many different pictures together, and like we have him as a guest at our house so often that I think I've kind of become desensitized to it. It's just like become a really good friend. At some point, I should probably get like a boxing glove and have him sign it. I think we need to talk about UFC, bro.
Yes. And before we do that, but I gotta take the L.
What is it?
You remember? That was so bad. What was that? 2 weeks ago? Remember when Adesanya fought Jared Cannonier? And remember I posted our predictions.
You posted your predictions.
Yeah.
I posted my predictions right after.
Yeah, I watched it. And I don't know if you saw it, but I basically got all the fights wrong. Except for the Adesanya fight. We removed the Sean O'Malley fight because there was no contest. So I only got one fight right. And the next day, some guy DMs us. He's like, "Your picks suck." I couldn't say anything, man. He was right. So.
Yeah. That was me. I messaged from a burner account.
But what did you make of the fight card?
The easy fight was pretty boring.
Yeah.
The easy fight was pretty boring, and I am kind of rooting for Alex Pereira at this point because I like underdogs, and I also like fighters that are watchable because I'm a casual. At the end of the day, that's what I am. I have to admit that to myself. I am a casual. I like knockouts, and Izzy has been disappointing us for some time now, and frankly, I've been an Izzy hater ever since that Yoel Romero fight, and I'm a passionate Izzy hater. And also, I'm just gonna showcase my personal insecurities to the fullest. But from my wrestling years and my boxing years, I kind of have this. So there's these like types of people at any given gym, right?
Yeah.
And there is this type that I passionately dislike that I've encountered both in during my wrestling years and during my boxing years. And it's this type of a fighter slash just like a martial artist that kind of shows up in the gym. And they put in work, but they're just immensely talented, and they know that they're immensely talented, and they're fucking cocky as shit about it, bro. And to them, it's like when you're sparring against them, when you're kind of going up against them, and you're not necessarily as talented as them, and you're trying to compensate for that with hard work, and they still beat you. I think they always make it important. They make it a priority for themselves to let it be known to you and to themselves that they're better than you. And there's a kind of an element of arrogance, that comes with it. It's just so humiliating. And I always hated those guys, man. Like I was so like pissed. I'm not gonna mention any names, and like shout out to all of them. But yeah, like I've wrestled people like that. Like I box people like that who like beat the shit out of me. And I'm like, man, like I think I'm putting in more work than you. Like I'm watching you in the gym, but like shit, you're just talented, and you do put in work. Like I gotta give you credit, but man, you're also so fucking cocky about it, man. And that's the kind of guy that I think Easy is. Like at least on the surface, that's what I see in him.
Yeah.
And I should not take away from the work that he puts in. Like when you're competing at that level, without a doubt, your work ethic is on another level. This is your profession and you work at it, and good for you. Like respect. But I also feel like Izzy's just the kind of guy that's just like super cocky about it as well. And yeah, you know, like that, like the way he humped, Paulo Costa. Yeah. That was like, man, that's kind of hilarious, but you're also a dick for doing that. I'd probably be pissed. I was like, oh, the human trash.
The human trash, dude.
Yeah, the human trash. It's one of those guys that's just like so good at what he does, and he knows it, and he no way is humble about it. And you're pissed because you can't do anything about it. You're like, damn, you're actually pretty good. Yeah, I'm just hating and hoping that Alex Pereira will come out there and humble him one more time.
I guess we probably just don't understand the magnitude and what's at stake. But if you think about it, would you play it safe too if you were at the top and you've become a money-making machine? And you know how fighters have like expiration date, and like their prime years, that window is like super small. And would you also not try to capitalize on that and hold on to it for as long as you can?
That's the paradox though, right? Because if you play it safe, all of a sudden people will stop buying your pay-per-views, and you're going to lose either way. Yeah, you're getting the W's, your record perhaps is going to look good on paper, but what's the point if you're not attracting the crowd? Because at the end of the day, fight business is entertainment business.
Yeah.
And playing safe is not entertaining at all. I'm the end audience. I'm the guy. I'm the casual. Like I'm the consumer. I don't want you to wrestling and then playing touch butt. Like give me knockouts. Right? Like, and that's the bare essence of the end consumer, UFC.
In all the fights that you watched, which fight do you think was the most boring out of all the fights that you watched? Off the top of your head.
Has to be O'Malley, right? The O'Malley fight.
The most boring fight?
Yeah.
Why?
I don't know. I just didn't really see a whole lot of action, or compared to the other fights.
You know which one's for me?
Which one is it?
Francis Ngannou and Derek Lewis.
Francis Ngannou and Derek Lewis. Well, they're heavyweights, right? It's kind of
Nothing happened, bro. For 3 rounds. The funny thing is, everyone was getting so hyped up leading up to the fight because, like they are knockout punchers, and Dana White was advertising Francis Ngannou like he hits as hard as Ford F-150 truck or something like that. And then you add the two together in the octagon, no action.
Yeah, their crews probably had to take a shit.
He's still in great DC for disrespecting that Popeye-ass chicken. Shout out to Derek Lewis. Okay, moving on, Brad. What did you make of the Volkanovski performance?
Gotta give it to him at this point. God damn it. It's
speechless.
Yeah, Volkanovski is the guy that I don't want to like. But man, it's hard not to like him. Like, this guy is just he's winning over people, and I think he's just a great guy outside of the octagon and in the octagon. And I think the only reason why I was just hesitant and holding back and kind of biased against them is because of the fact that I'm a fan of Max Holloway so much. Max Holloway is a fucking gladiator, and it was tough to see him lose. And I'm a big fan of him, man. And he's the best boxer in the UFC, baby. And because UFC is a popularity contest, and you have to try really hard to take popularity away from Max Holloway, and I think Volkanovski is just addressed all of the questions that the people had after the first fight, and perhaps and some questions.
Second fight,
after the second fight as well.
Man,
well, what do you think? I want to hear your opinion.
I really had nothing to say. I was really rooting for Max because I'm also a huge fan of Max Holloway. But just watching the fight and the way he was battering Max was just holy shit. And he was just so crisp with his punches and technique. And also when they were in the clinch, he was also so strong. Like Max couldn't even take him down or anything like this. And he definitely put the nail in that coffin. You know how there was this debate that, Max won the second fight. Alex is not going to win the third one. Man, that one just passed in like flying colors. Congrats to Volk.
Yeah. Do you think there was any scenario where the fight could have ended in a knockout for either fighter?
I'd be more leaning towards Volkanovski getting knocked out.
Knocked out?
Yeah. Because in the second fight, Max Holloway, he read him, I think in the third round, where he would counter him with the hook every time he tried to go in.
Yeah.
So I was kind of thinking something like that would happen in the third fight, where Alex would rush in and then Max Holloway catches him with the hook. No, it wasn't the hook. It was the uppercut that Max Holloway had going for him in the second fight. Yeah, I don't know, man. Max Holloway's chin's still that legendary. He's never been knocked out. Let's skip over that fight, the rest of the fight card, and let's move into last week's fight card. Primarily Fiziev versus RDA. And if people didn't know, Fiziev is also from Kyrgyzstan. Country
Not
where
anymore.
we're from.
Unfortunately.
Okay, what did you make of the fight, bud?
No, you first.
I really didn't watch the fight. I just checked the results the next day. I also didn't watch the highlights. I think he knocked him out in the 5th round.
Yeah.
Man, what I really like about Fiziev, he's okay throwing the dice in the octagon by like throwing a different technique or trying something new. He doesn't mind getting caught. He doesn't mind getting hit. And so far it has been working in his favor. And yeah, man, I am just really excited about his future in the lightweight division. Because he's so, versatile. He's so explosive, has striking. One big recklessness he has is he gets hit a lot. And it's only a matter of time before, if he doesn't fix it, someone with the accuracy of McGregor and power of Justin Gaethje can just put him to sleep. But man, that was a tough fight, and he got it. Yeah. What did you make of the fight?
Yeah. I haven't watched it either. But I came away with the same impression, just by watching the highlight reel, that he's just a risk taker. And because of that, he's such a watchable fighter.
Yeah.
And I personally think that in a situation like that, when you're the risk taker and you're just a really versatile and a very watchable fighter, you getting knocked out is not going to derail your train.
100%.
Yeah, your hype train is still going to keep going. And I think Justin Gaethje is a good example of that. Justin Gaethje by no means is an undefeated fighter. He's not a fucking god. He's just a regular human who's gotten beaten multiple times by multiple different people. And nonetheless, I think if Justin Gaethje is fighting, you're buying the pay-per-view, regardless.
Yeah.
Because he's just that good. He's just that good.
And also Chandler is in the same category, right? Where he's just won fans over, and win, lose, or draw, people still gonna tune in and watch him.
Oh, hell yes.
Guy is
I don't know. It's just, Chandler just entered the UFC scene with a bang. Just, the fight with Hooker and then the Charles Oliveira. And I think since then, he's just been, the momentum has been built. Like he goes out there and he fights. And I think it's just the combination of risk taking and also just being such a well-conditioned fighter that he's not just able to go out there and take risks. He's able to do it for a prolonged amount of time. Like he doesn't gas out.
Yeah.
Like somebody, throw a bunch of haymakers, be a Derek Lewis, but then you gas out and you're just kind of surviving for the rest of the rounds. I guess there's some level of excitement in terms of anticipation. You're like, oh, wait, he might just come out of nowhere and knock people out. But then a guy like Chandler just keeps going at it. I'll give him props.
I think it ties back to that point that you made earlier. Remember when we were talking about Adesanya, how he is playing it safe, or so it seems. And I think we both agree that at this point, if he loses his next fight, people will easily switch over to whoever's the next champion. Let's just say it's Alex Pereira, right?
Yeah.
But in the case of Fiziev, or like you mentioned, Justin Gaethje, even if they lose the next fight, people are still going to tune in because they leave nothing in the octagon. They give it their all. They risk it for the biscuit. If they don't get it, it's all good.
Risk it for the biscuit.
Let me ask you your thoughts, Brad. Where do you see lightweight division in the next 6 to 12 months? I think there's no champion, right? Because they stripped Oliveira because of that weight cut.
Which was ridiculous, but oh well.
Did you hear DC mention the towel thing? He confessed.
What is it?
So UFC had a Hall of Fame celebration or something like this.
Yeah.
A couple of weeks ago. And Khabib was there. He received his Hall of Fame. By the way, shout out to Khabib. And then DC also received his. And when he was giving his speech, he basically said, yeah, I held on to that towel.
Why? Why did he need to say that? I feel like everybody knew that. And it was just one of those things you're just supposed to let slide. Like, just don't talk about it. Don't ask, don't tell, bro. Like, we know. we know your fat ass like needed to hold the towel, bro. But hey, like you're the GOAT, and like we just gotta let that one slide, man. Yeah, why did he have to do Popeye's chicken like that dirty, bro?
Yeah, but where do you see the vision, lightweight division going forward? Who will get the title, and who will challenge it next?
Okay, where is it right now? So we got Charles Oliveira, who's number 1, who is just, I think, is still the champion. Mm-hmm. Then we got Poirier, Gaethje, Chandler. We got Makhachev as number 5. Then we got the Rish, Fiziev, Dos Anjos, Mateusz Gamrot, the Polish fighter with a pretty short record. I think it's 4-1 in UFC, 21-1 overall. Haven't heard of the guy. Seems promising. We'll see what he has to offer. And then number 10. Oh, how the mighty have fallen. Conor McGregor.
I'm surprised he's still holding on to 10.
Just in name only, bro. Like if you look at the next 5, it's like Tony Ferguson, Gregor Gillespie, Demiris Magulov, Jalen Turner, and then Arman Tsarukyan. Like, who the fuck can say that like Conor McGregor would beat any of those fighters? Like, I don't know, man. Like I haven't seen the guy. He's chilling on a yacht somewhere in Monaco. Like, good for him. But is he still fighting? I don't know. Yeah, let's touch on that later. Where do I see it in the next 6 to 12 months? I think the 2 fighters to watch closely continue to be Islam Makhachev and Rafael Fiziev, just because those are the ones that have been rising the fastest. And then you just got the incumbents, the Gaethje, Chandler, Poirier, and Oliveira. And like at this point, they like all fought each other. And it's pretty well established, to me at least, that Charles Oliveira has a leg up over Poirier, Gaethje, and Chandler. So I'm not really interested in seeing Oliveira fight any of those guys. So it would be interesting to see him against Fiziev. It would be interesting to see him against Makhachev. But again, I'm kind of skeptical as of now in terms of whether Fiziev or Makhachev would be able to offer anything to Oliveira at this point in time.
What? You serious?
Well, let's talk about it.
Okay. So you think if the next fight for the title is Makhachev and Charles Oliveira, you're more inclined to believe Charles will win that fight?
Makhachev versus Oliveira?
Yeah.
I am, to be honest with you. And the reason being is I don't see Makhachev being a better striker than Oliveira. Oliveira has just such a crisp striking that I feel like Oliveira, like if they stand and trade, I think Oliveira will outdo him. That's my personal opinion. But do let me know if you disagree and why. In terms of that like Khabib school of Sambo grab and smash, I think Oliveira's jiu-jitsu is kind of a poison pill against that. And Oliveira is the kind of guy that's just super comfortable being on the ground. And we saw that against who was the most recent fight, like where Charles Oliveira got dropped multiple times. Was it against Gaethje or was it against?
I think it was both. He got dropped in Chandler and Gaethje fight.
Yeah, and
Dustin Poirier fight.
Yeah. So all 3 of them, like he gets dropped, and if anything, that's his go-to strategy. He just takes the fight to the ground, and he's just that comfortable. Yeah, you could say that he hasn't really been up against, somebody in the likes of Khabib who's just able to, like grapple and strike on the ground, just kind of have their like just smash type of strategy. But again, like Chandler is an excellent wrestler, and like the fact that he was able to handle that no problem is a demonstration that Oliveira is, in terms of the grappling, is just unmatched, to me at least. But do tell me. I want to hear what you got to say.
Respectfully, I disagree, and by no means, I'm not trying to take away anything from what Charles has accomplished. I think he's a great guy. He's a great fighter, amazing champion, right?
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you that Charles has a crisp striking, but I think if Makhachev and Charles Oliveira fight, I think Islam beats him. And yes, Charles has a black belt in jiu-jitsu. Yes, he's a wizard on the ground, but so is Makhachev. But his expertise is not the same as Charles. Charles is like this, like a snake on your body, right? Whereas Makhachev is like this Dagestani patented way of grappling, like the leg ties and all the unique things that they do. Oh yeah, and Makhachev also fought this Moses guy a year or two ago, who was also a black belt in jiu-jitsu, Brazilian, and that guy had nothing on Makhachev. Like he was on the ground. He tried to do his submissions. Nothing worked. I think it will be the same case with Charles Oliveira. I think on the ground, there's nothing that Charles can do that will surprise Makhachev. After getting knocked out, what was that, 3-4 years ago? The only loss that he had in UFC. By the way, he lost just by recklessly going for the kill and got caught. I think he's learned a lot. And I think he's not going to make the same mistake. Whereas Charles he'll try to be reckless, by countering or something. And that will cost him. I think Makhachev drops him, and I think he ground and pounds him and gets the W. Oh.
Your outlook, 6 to 12 months, you see Makhachev being the champion.
I see Makhachev being the champion, and the following fight right after that, I see Fiziev versus Makhachev.
Yeah, I don't see Fiziev beating Makhachev anytime soon. I don't know enough about his grappling skills. Is he a good grappler? Like, what's his ground game like?
Well, he was taken down by RDA in that fight. I don't think he's ready for someone like Makhachev.
Yeah.
Who do you see fight next for the title? Say the Oliveira and Islam is first fight, whoever gets the belt, who you see will challenge for the belt next?
The only other guy in the top 10 is Beneil Dariush and then Mateusz Gamrot. I don't know who that Mateusz guy is. Beneil, I guess he could get the shot, but I feel like he's not as high profile. You think Beneil has high enough of a profile to be attractive for Dana to be like, okay, let's put him in for the championship fight?
I think he's been impressive in his last couple of fights. But I've been watching Beneil since 2017. And to be honest, those fights, they were just really not convincing. And at that time, you could just see that he was on his way out. I don't know what happened now, but he's doing amazing, which is great. I mean, the clock is ticking. I think he's probably 1-2 fights away from being done with the sport. And maybe he's not the best prospect for UFC to make him a champion, because when you have someone like Islam, right, who you can promote like crazy by like dishing out all these crazy stories, then you have Fiziev and the new up-and-coming guys that you just mentioned.
Yeah.
I mean, Beneil kind of pales in comparison to these guys.
To be fair, Beneil is like 33. So, he's up there, but I wouldn't say that he's old, or substantially older than the other guys, because Makhachev is like 31.
Yeah.
So they're all up there. And I think Fiziev is like 29. So I guess by UFC standards, he's kind of reaching that prime years. Chandler is like 36. He's pretty old. So I guess just Dariush, Beneil has been so beat up over the years that maybe that makes him feel older than he actually is.
So is that the fight that you're leaning into more after whoever wins this belt next? Beneil versus the champion?
Beneil versus the champion? It depends. If Charles maintains his championship, it has to be Beneil, because or it has to be Rafael, because I don't see the point of him going up against Dustin, Justin, or Michael, or like Chandler anytime soon. But if Islam becomes the champion, things get interesting, because all of a sudden you have to like prove your championship just by fighting against all these people. and they're all money fights. They're all really great draws. I feel like Chandler, Gaethje, like Poirier, they're all such watchable fighters that you definitely would be tuning in. So
there's more money to be made if Islam is champion.
Like we talk about all this, we try to like analyze and shit, but then Conor McGregor comes in, posts a couple of Instagram photos, and everybody's like, "Oh yeah, Conor McGregor," and like they want to watch Conor McGregor.
I'm guilty of that.
Me too, bro. Yeah.
There's something about this guy, man. Who do you think he'll fight if he ever comes back?
I don't care, bro. I'm still tuning in.
But do you think UFC will give him a title shot right away?
That would be ridiculous, but to be honest with you, that would be ridiculous. But it's UFC. It's money talks. And the guy fucking sells, bro. He fucking sells. So yeah, like all these guys like putting in work and just shows up. They break out the red panties regardless of how washed up he can be. I mean, he's just a great marketer. I think he's also going to be tactical in terms of the fight that he chooses, because I think he gets to call his fights. I don't think he would want to go up against Makhachev. I don't think he would ever want to go up against Oliveira. The rest of them could still be game, but those guys would kill him. I think he'd probably have fun fighting Gaethje or maybe Poirier again. Maybe Rafael Fiziev even, or any of the others like below the top 10. Just call it a tune-up fight and let him fight. But if Oliveira or Makhachev are the champions, I don't think Conor wants to come back. There is no way.
Man, I just thought about it. What? If he really does go for a tune-up fight, you know who would be ideal for him?
Who?
RDA.
Yeah.
They had that fight scheduled before and it was canceled. So they have this existing beef and RDA is on his way out, which is perfect.
Yeah. And he's a striker. Like, it would make for a great fight. Yes. It would make for a great fight.
Yeah, man. Have you heard the rumors about Floyd versus McGregor too?
Oh my God. Hey, we got fucking YouTube fighters just making bank out there. Like anything goes at this point.
Going back to that question, Conor versus Floyd, who wins?
Bro, can I not make a prediction, please? It reminds me of when we were kids and would be like, who's gonna win? Like Jackie Chan or Jean-Claude Van Damme or like fucking Sylvester Stallone or Arnold Schwarzenegger. Remember like when as kids you would just like think about stuff like that? And I'm like, man, yeah, Floyd. It has to be Floyd. It has to be Floyd. Yeah, they're both retired. And Floyd's just the boxer.
But bro, if that fight does get announced, I'm going to be tuning in. I know objectively Floyd kills him again, right? But subjectively, I'll still go for McGregor. I'll still be out there singing, there's only one Conor McGregor, and there's no fight better. And he is going to knock out Floyd Mayweather. Yeah.
We're not here to take part. We're here to take over.
Remember my biggest bias comment I ever made on the UFC fight 3 years ago?
I think that was the one and only time I snapped at you, bro.
That was what? Khabib versus Conor fight? But you gotta admit, I have Dominic Cruz who agreed with me on it. So that feels like I'm not lonely. But man, tell the audience what happened, bro.
Okay, so we were watching it at a bar somewhere, right? And it was, what is it, like 5 or 6 people? And the camp split up evenly. So half the people were for Conor, half the people were for Khabib. And we were the part of the crowd that was for Conor. And that included myself. I was definitely whoring for Conor, like big time. But like I was just sad the whole fight because I was just like, man, he's getting fucking smashed. And I guess to add an insult to the injury, you like all of a sudden, like, he's just getting smashed there. And then you just drop this comment. You're like, oh yeah, Conor is tiring him out. I'm like, bro, what the fuck? What are you talking about? So I just turned to you. I was like, bro, what are you saying? And Ilshat was frustrated as well because, I'm sure he was just as disappointed. He was also team Conor, but it is what it is. Conor got smashed. I think we still had a fun night, but that was the most biased comment that you have ever made in the history of your history of watching UFC or any fights for that matter.
In my heart, every time Conor was getting hit, when he was on the ground, I think it was second round, every time Khabib would throw a punch, I was hoping he was gonna do some Jackie Chan shit, roll and like duck it, and then boom, get up and do something. And I was like, yes, please.
Just throw a capoeira kick.
I remember your face.
Land straight to the temple.
Your face, Prat, was priceless. You're like, what the fuck, bro? And you stared at me for a good 5 seconds after.
I was so frustrated, man.
Let me now quickly move into the 3 questions. Back to back questions. Number 1, who do you see Volkanovski fight next? Now that, well, he cleared out the whole division. There's nobody else in featherweight that he could fight. Zabit retired. The other guys, he's killed them, right? Second, what do you make of the upcoming fight between Luke Rockhold versus Bohachinia, Paulo Costa, and John Jones versus Francis Ngannou?
John Jones versus Francis Ngannou. So we should probably start with Volk, right? Who else can Volk fight at this point? I don't know enough about the featherweight division, to be honest with you, to give you an educated opinion. Can you take that one? I want to hear your thoughts.
I think he fights Henry Cejudo.
You think so?
Yeah.
Like, has he been active on social media? Has he been hinting at a comeback at all?
Yes, bro. He entered USADA pool again.
How long ago was that?
Like 3 months ago. After Volkanovski knocked out Korean Zombie, next day there were tweets already. Henry Cejudo has entered USADA testing pool. And after that Max Holloway versus Volkanovski 3 fight, in the backstage, Henry and Volkanovski shook hands, and Henry expressed his desire to fight him for his comeback fight.
Right. Wasn't Henry in the Zombies camp?
Yeah.
So that makes sense. So he's definitely done the homework. He knows a lot about Volkanovski. But then what would be his game plan? Would he just go in there with the expectation of beating Volkanovski and then piecing out again? Or would that be a more long-term comeback where he's actually coming back and fighting post Volkanovski? Because I'm sure a guy like Dana probably has learned his lesson at this point, right? He's already been burned in situations where a fighter reaches this money-making stage, and then they just kind of exit out, and that's the money that Dana is losing out on. So there would probably be some kind of stipulations or at least an attempt by Dana to try and hold his champion for longer, right? Because what's the point if Henry just kind of beats Volkanovski and then he just oh yeah, guys, I'm back to the retirement. Bye-bye.
Yeah, that happened with Conor getting the lightweight belt and then GSP beating Michael Bisping, right? For the middleweight. Who do you think wins? But Khabib defended the belt though.
Yeah. But I guess what I mean is Dana tried to keep him around for longer.
Yeah.
Who wins in Volkanovski? Volkanovski versus Cejudo. Man, I don't know. I think they're both very complete fighters. Pretty good grapplers. Both are pretty good strikers. Yeah, I think I don't see it going to knockout or submission. I think it's going to be a decision. Who does it go to by decision? I want to say Volk, but I can't give you a good reason why.
I'm trying to make sure my bias doesn't get in the way. I think Henry probably gets the decision. But how, I also don't know.
All right, if that fight happens, as the tradition goes, we're gonna bet on opposite fighters and see how it plays out.
Hopefully I won't be like 95% wrong like last time.
Bratan, that's how I've been beating you for years in this game, brat.
Come on.
You bet on a fighter, I just bet on the opposite, and I win.
Not all the time.
You're like Jim Cramer of UFC, brat.
Always get calls wrong. But leading up to the fight, I give you all the data supporting my point and why I think that fighter wins. And it makes sense on paper. And then come fight night, I'm wrong. Okay. Let's just agree that Volk versus Henry Cejudo, it could go either way. And we agree that it's a decision, but we don't know how they will win, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Paulo Costa versus Luke Rockhold. Let me give you a little background.
Yeah, do it.
Luke Rockhold sounds a lot more ready this time. And he said, like, the reason why he was on a losing streak. Well, one of the reasons, like, personal related things going on that kept him distracted. Like, I think abortion of his baby and stuff like this. So he was like drinking a lot, just feeling really depressed for the last several years. And now you see him, he sounds like he's that hungry guy again. The same guy that beat Michael Bisping for the championship. First time, not the second fight. First time. And to me, he just sounds ready. Whereas Paulo Costa, after that Adesanya fight, he's just not been the same. He's tweeting some weird things, arguing with kids on Instagram. I'm really rooting for Luke Rockhold for this one.
And you would expect it to be different, right? You would expect that a guy like that gets violated in front of millions of fans watching, whether it's on TV or live. You would expect that a guy like that would just dedicate his entire life to getting that second shot so that he could avenge this like violation of his honor. It's like the guy humped him on live TV. Like, how do you recover from that? It's just, and like I thought that video that he recorded about the human trash was the manifesto that was going to lead him to, I don't know, just, I guess, rediscover his like inner fire and like the desire to like become the champion. But I don't know. Yeah. Like I'm getting the same impression from Paulo Costa. In that I also just don't see him motivated or driven. But who knows, bro? At the end of the day, it's just social media. We're not actually in his camp and we don't know what's going on there.
Your prediction? Who wins?
My prediction, I still think it's going to be Paulo Costa.
Paulo Costa?
Yeah. He's a hard hitter. But Rockhold is old. He's been dropped several times. He doesn't take a lot to knock him out. If Costa lands, I think the fight is over. He just needs to land. And I don't think it's that difficult. Rockhold is not necessarily a wrestler. He's not going to take it to the ground and then try and wrestle Costa. They're going to trade. And in the trades, there is a high likelihood that Costa is going to land. And if he lands, Rockhold is in trouble. The guy's 37. I mean, he's driven, but he's old.
But Luke Rockhold is scary on the ground.
Yeah. I mean, props to him, AKA. But is he the kind of guy that takes the fights to the ground? Who knows? That could be his strategy, and if he implements it, maybe he will win by decision. But I feel like it's one of those fights that's just going to be who's going to outstrike whom kind of fight.
You know how I see that fight? I think you're right that Paulo Costa has the power advantage on the feet. But I think Luke Rockhold can keep him at a distance with his kicks because he's just so fluid with his kicks. He's just so insane with them. And I think he'll kind of go the same way as Adesanya fight, where he will keep him at a distance with kicks, and Paulo Costa will get frustrated, make a mistake, either throw an overhand and get caught with the counter, or shoot for a takedown.
Yeah.
Then Luke Rockhold submit him. But definitely, if that doesn't play out, then I agree with you that puncher's chance is on Paulo Costa's side for this fight.
And also, it's a question of whether Costa learned his lessons. I'm sure he is going to check the leg kick. So, yeah.
Okay. Last fight. Quick one. Ngannou, John Jones. If
Bro,
John Jones comes back.
John Jones, ifs, so many ifs, buts, like, it's like Tesla taxi, bro. It's just so far in the future, and it's so undefined that it's hard to say, bro. Like, will we drive Tesla taxis? Who the fuck knows, man? Like, I don't know. There are just so many ifs in that equation that it's hard to even fathom like what that looks like. Like, John Jones has been so long out of the game that a casual like me doesn't even remember him. Like, who the fuck is John Jones? Like, yeah, okay, like some guy from back when UFC shorts still had sponsors on them, but like I don't remember the guy. I don't know the guy. Francis Ngannou. I think John Jones. I think if anything, Francis Ngannou is the reason why John Jones has been taking so long to come back. So, like, yeah, let's see. I'm definitely in Francis's camp, but mostly because that's who I know. And like, Francis is a natural heavyweight. The man's got the fucking he hits like a horse kicks, bro. Mm-hmm. And if John Jones wants that smoke, if he wants to come out, then let's see. But until then, I think I have a higher chance of riding a Tesla taxi than see John Jones fight.
Personal issues aside, whatever has happened outside the octagon with either of the guys, well, primarily with John Jones, skill for skill, if that fight happens, I think John Jones obliterates the guy.
Just a different level of skill.
Yeah, I think he'll take him to deep waters. As long as he can find a way to not get hit with that horse kickable punch. I mean, I think John Jones beats him. If that happens.
Yeah, I guess it's a question of, is he able to maintain that fluidity at that weight class? Like, he's gotten heavier. He's not getting younger either. So it's also a matter of the stamina. Because when you're trying to put on that much weight, how do you also maintain your cardio? Right? And again, it's just like you're kind of going against the stream because you're fighting somebody who's heavier than you and who's a natural heavyweight. He's just naturally bigger than you. So if John Jones wins, he just has to be flawless. Like, because if he eats a punch, he's in trouble. So here's my prediction. Here's what's going to happen. It's going to be almost exactly like Rosenstruik, bro. Am I butchering the name? I'm probably butchering the name.
Rosenstruik.
Yeah, Rosenstruik. Rosenstruik, like, he was just kind of all like stepping back, and he was like trying to throw a counter shot and catch him there with his skill. And then Francis Ngannou just kept coming here at him. He was just like, Rah! And then one of them landed. It was just like, night. And that's my prediction for John Jones. That's what's going to happen if John Jones goes up. He's going to try and fucking kung fu his way out of that shit. But then the Ngannou train is going to hit him, and it's going to hit him hard. And he's going to go night. My prediction.
Okay. Hopefully that fight happens so we could check who's right, who's wrong. But it's always fun to make these predictions.
Yeah. But if anything, I would argue that out of all of the anticipated fights that we talked about today, that one is the least likely to happen. even less likely than the fight between Mayweather and Conor McGregor. That's how low of a likelihood I would give to the fight.
I agree. I see it the same way. It's always fun to entertain these fights. I think we're nearing the end of this episode. Do you have anything you want to add?
I guess general thoughts on UFC and the state of the fight business. I think the UFC machine has just been doing so exceptionally well that it continues to eat the lunch of the boxing business.
Mm-hmm.
And as a fight business, MMA still has the ability to attract crowds without losing its integrity as a sport, as a kind of a martial art. And I think it speaks volumes to the as to how entertaining it is and how successful the business model has been. Mm. But you also see the new emerging sports that could potentially disrupt UFC or MMA. And I think bare knuckle boxing could potentially be one of those sports. Yeah. So the business of violence. Violence is entertaining for us for some reason, man. And watching people just slug it out bare knuckle, perhaps, for some reason is interesting to people.
I mean, it's exciting time to be a UFC fan. Because remember when McGregor left the sport, when he captured the lightweight belt, and when he was playing games with UFC saying he's retiring and stuff, he changed the game so much that everyone wanted money fights in UFC. And when he left, UFC felt empty. And nothing was really as exciting as it was with McGregor. But the sport kind of continued. And now UFC is doing so much better without McGregor. They don't even need him at this point. And you have so many exciting fights coming up.
Yes, I think Conor, maybe he doesn't even need it at this point. Just keeps flaunting the comeback. But who knows? Maybe that's just his way of keeping his brand relevant. Like, oh yeah, look at me. I'm about to make a comeback. And then all of a sudden the whiskey sales shot up a little bit. He's like, oh yeah, I made some money just by tweeting that I'm going to come back. But I agree. It's like every fight is a money fight. Because like these rosters have been so stacked up now. Like every weight class has a couple of really well-liked, really popular guys with brands. And then would I rather have one superstar that's known everywhere, even outside of UFC? Or would I rather have, 10 decent stars that are not necessarily as well known outside of the community, but they're like but they sell.
Yeah.
They sell. They're not mega hits, but they're hits. I think I'd go with the 10 because there are just so many things that you can do with that. You just can stack up cards in so many different ways. It's almost like, what is it? I think I watched like a TikTok, where, of somebody saying that like you need 4 different suits, 4 different like shirts, and 4 different shoes, and you can build like 80 different combinations using that because of different types, different colors. So similar. All you need is like 5 good fighters, and all of a sudden like the number of options that you have. Today's conversation is very much a reflection of that. Like we just talked about so many options that all these fighters have. And the likelihood of all of them is pretty high, with the exception of John Jones.
I'm really glad that the sport has switched from the money fight talks to legacy fights. And it just shows in all the UFC champions. You know, they all defend belts. They're consistent. They're all about legacy. That's really great.
Okay. Now, leave the audience with a song recommendation.
A song recommendation?
Yeah. Hold on. Let me phrase the question. You are a UFC fighter. You're about to go in, stacked up MGM stadium, and you're having a championship fight. What's your song?
Like I told you offline, it's going to be the same one. The Siege. Don't fall asleep.
Siege, don't fall asleep. Okay.
Yeah. What about you?
All right. I'd probably want to like go something like old school.
50 Cent.
Yeah, like 50 Cent or Eminem. If I go with Eminem, I probably sounds corny, but I'd go with Till I Collapse. Just like Till I Collapse, and yeah. And then if probably not 50, yeah, like just way too popular. Tupac's Ambition as a Rider. It was like Ambitions as a Rider. That's a good one.
Those two are great.
Some old school shit.
Yeah, bro. I'm really glad we got to talk about a topic that we talk about a lot, among other things, because we haven't covered UFC in detail as we have today so far from all of our episodes.
And I can't wait for all your picks to be wrong a year from now. All your predictions that we made on this podcast. A year from now, we're going to watch this and we're like, yo, this guy just got everything wildly wrong.
Let's see about that. Nate Diaz's face. And yeah, if you watch this episode till the end, thank you very much. Make sure you subscribe. If you watch till the end, give us a like, drop your comments. Again, leaving a like is free, so do it as much as you want. No inflation on it, no charge on it. It's free. Give us thumbs up if you like the content. Share with your friends. Spread the love. We out here. Just wrapped up episode 6. Follow us on TikTok. Follow us on Instagram. DM us if you have any questions or leave your comments down below. We'd love to engage with our community. Yeah. Okay. But yeah.
Do the honors.
Episode 6 done. Assalamu alaikum. Octagon. We'll talk on next episode.
Alaikum assalam. Now we gotta do that. No. You gotta do the opposite way.
Assalamu alaikum. You think I can challenge Hezbollah with that voice?
You do sound like Hezbollah with that voice.